Welcome back, everyone. We are live for another episode of Growing with My Fellow Growers. I'm your host, Jack Greenstock, joined as always by an awesome panel. I will pass it over first, as usual, to Spartan Grown. Welcome back, Spartan.
Thanks, Jack. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Spartan Grown. You can find me on Instagram at Spartan Grown, all one word and no spaces. Or you can shoot me an email at spartangrown@gmail.com. I'm an organic farmer at home and a synthetic farmer at work, so I can do both.
Always happy to have you back. I just clicked on over to the live chat, and I'm seeing a handful of the regulars: Crispy Wannabe, Crack Babies DWC, and Scroggy McScroggerton, Cheddar Bob, a few others, Smart Poker, Real Red Hairs, and Ancient Soul Grown in the chat. But I want to pass it over next to Kyle Breeder. Welcome back.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here still. I forget what you said, Jack. We're going on almost 3 years strong. Is that what you're saying a little earlier?
Yeah, it'll be 3 years in, I think, 5 episodes, because a year is 52, and then 52 times 3 is 156, and we're 150 today, and we missed 1 week because technical difficulty. So 155 will be exactly 3 years. So feels good.
Yeah, I'm glad we're still doing this. I'm sure. I wish we knew the exact number of people we help, but I feel like it's probably a good amount. So I specialize in feminized seeds. If that's something you're looking for, I do have a website. It's purebreeding.com. The selection's a little shy because I've sold out of basically almost everything. There's still, I think, 3 varieties on there. I am in the process of doing a pretty large seed drop. It's months away, but I'm in the process of it, so that's pretty cool if you guys are anyone's looking for that. But purebreeding.com, pure_breeding on Instagram, pure breeding on Facebook, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get my Twitter back. But other than that, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad everyone's safe and doing all right.
Love the unified social media names. Makes it easy to find you. Pure Breeding across all the platforms there, and the website. But with that said, we've got another person with the website, BokashiEarthworks.com. Welcome back, Brandon Russ.
What's going on, everybody? Good to be here. I won't be able to stay the whole time. I have to do a dinner thing tonight, but glad to be here. I'm Brandon Russ. You can find me on Instagram at russ.brandon. You can also find Bokashi Earthworks at bokashiearthworks.com. And there's a lot of different products on that website. There's carbon-based fertilizers, there's microbes, there's amendments, all kinds of good stuff.
Happy to have you back. And last and certainly not least, I'm not sure if anybody else will join us. I know Dr. MJ mentioned that he might be able to get here a little bit late, and a few others on the panel had some comments as well, but I'm gonna pass it over to somebody who's here with us, Matthew Gates. Welcome back.
Yeah, hey everyone.
That was adorable.
It was. This is Matthew Gates. I'm an integrated pest management specialist, and I'm actually preparing for a presentation right now that I'm going to give on the Future Cannabis Project about rice root aphids. So, and also aphids in general. I'll go a little bit over their physiology and their capabilities and what you have to know to make yourself a better treatment for them, preventively and curatively. So you should check that out. It'll be on Tuesday at 3 p.m. PST. And other than that, if you can find other content related to pests and plant health, you can find it on my Zenthanol YouTube channel, as well as on Instagram at SyncAngel is my personal Instagram, and at SyncAngel, SYNCHANGEL on Twitter.
Happy to have you back. And I think I'm looking forward to the rice root aphid information. Always good to be better equipped to deal with your enemies. I feel the same way about rice root aphids as Spartan feels about the MCMA, which is fuck both of them. So I'll start the show off with that, and also say that hearing what sounded like a kitten meow into the mic was funny, because I jokingly refer to my cats as my IPM specialists to my wife, integrated pest management specialist, because occasionally they will spot like a moth or something on the ceiling or some sort of bug, and if they don't kill it themselves, they'll at least identify it for me to take it out, and it's good to have. So cats can be helpful for that. I mean, barn cats, I think, made a living with that exact special skill.
That's true. That is true.
I'm medicating today with some, shout out to Brandon. This is your limelights. I don't know if I can get this fucking thing to focus.
Well, we don't have a topic, so I'm going to spotlight you, and I want you to tell us all about that. How's it smelling? You said you're medicating with it, so it seems like it's smokable. It looks smokable. That looks like a nice frosty little nugget right there.
Yeah,
and,
man.
Let's hear some more.
So the limelights for me, it's I only had one female in there. I originally put 2 plants in the same planter so I could search through the phenols faster. And in fact, I just popped it in. I didn't have room for it. So I just put 2 in a planter and I popped it. One ended up being a male. So I cut it. And then the second one was a female, which was this right here. And structure was a good plant. It didn't get super tall and it didn't stretch a super lot, which I love. It reminded me of GG4, some of the way that the bud structure was, as far as I don't know, just the way that the buds formed. It reminded me a lot of GG4. And then but the smells coming off of it is like citrusy lime, but it's like how do I explain it? Like the rind or something. It's like not super pronounced lime, just like it's there and you can smell it. And it's the first thing that pops out among everything else. And then for me, it's a little bit of gas, not like, it's hard for me to describe. It's not like a gasoline. It's a weird, but it's a gassy like effect in my mouth, like the mouth feel. It's like gaseous. When I smoke it in a joint, it has that same kind of limey gas flavor all the way through the joint. So I was excited about that. And I've been smoking it for about 3 days now. The high's like, it's a heady high, but it's the almost like couch lock for your eyes. Like it's real heavy on the eyes for me, right? But like pressure behind the eyes, I feel a lot of that. And just a nice stoned feeling, but I don't really get a body effect to go with it. So it's more heady, more daytime for me.
That's a great description. I definitely can relate to some of those strains that bring that ocular pressure. And I believe that's actually why cannabis is so beneficial for people like Red Pill out there who've got glaucoma. And he actually made me aware of like the fact that there's like an ocular pressure score, like the higher the number, like the worse it is. And he testified to the fact that when he would go and get tested without cannabis, his number would be like way too high, like 23 or something. And then he'd smoke cannabis and he'd bring it back down to like a 12 or like even lower in some circumstances. So it can literally save people's eyes. So it's one of the side effects of like cannabis that we enjoy at certain times, but it's also got an extremely beneficial medical therapeutic side effect. So I'm happy to hear that it brings that enjoyable effect for you, but also maybe has some benefit for people out there that might have ocular pressure related to glaucoma or other. I mean, that's a symptom of a few different eye related issues. So, but just the high in general sounds like a good one. It looks like it smells or sounds like it smells good. And it looks pretty nice too. That's a frosty, dense bud. So I would definitely not be complaining with that one for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna hunt the rest of the pack for sure because there's a keeper. I mean, I would have kept this one, but I didn't get a chance to clone it. Well, I tried to, I think it was, and didn't take or something. I took it too late. That's what it was. I took it like week 4 in flower and it started to re-veg. I said, fuck that. I'll just search more out of the pack.
I like to do that sometimes when I'm just checking out a new strain. I'll pop some seeds, run it through once and see if I like it. And then you can pop some more seeds and hopefully find a better pheno. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but I think if it's really good genetics, then more often than not, you're going to find something as good, if not better, later in the pack if you pop more of them and run it again, especially knowing what you're kind of looking for. So that's definitely cool stuff. I know a little bit before the show, Kyle was talking about a vape pen and he held it up and he goes, "This is not THC." You'll be surprised to know what this is. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, Kyle, because I know that it's not a new thing, but it's something that a lot of people, I guess, don't see the value in as much as maybe you're able to recently. So if you'd like to share a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, for anybody that's been following us, kind of knows my backstory, and there's pros and cons to it. But like, somewhere in my mid 20s, there was a blunt that this kid brought over, and he had mentioned that whoever sold it to him told him not to smoke the whole thing. We didn't, when you're like 22 and you're drinking, you don't really, yeah, sure. So we smoked the whole blunt, and I actually felt something in my nervous system like turn or just go differently inside. And ever since then, weed basically gave me anxiety or like panic at times. So I was forced to cut down radically, where basically like maybe like a child-sized breath would get me like pretty lit. And so I kind of wasn't able to just smoke anymore. I missed like smoking, going fishing or smoking, doing stuff. And so I went from an extreme pot like smoker to not. And so I've been trying to find what works for me. Fast forward till today I've tried like CBD tinctures, which worked pretty well. But as of 2 days ago, somebody had let me try a pure CBD isolate, no terps, no nothing, just pure CBD, and it's like radically helpful. I feel high, but I don't have any type of. I don't feel high. It's nothing. It's, by no means is it like smoking a blunt or a bong rip, but I get this almost euphoric effect as if I'm kind of high, which is extremely calming. And it's so relaxing, man. And I just can't. I'm like obsessed with it now because I've been trying to find something that like where I could still find my way in and still kind of just feel calm and relaxed about things. And CBD, well, it's funny though because like growing up, or especially when I was younger, and even like later, not even that long ago, I just thought CBD was kind of like, not to talk shit, but I just thought it was like kind of like a fake thing. I didn't know really what it was, or I've tried, like somebody gave me some of it and I didn't really feel anything. So I just thought it was like stupid, but now it's saved my life multiple times when I've had like panic attacks. Tinctures help me a lot. So if anybody's suffering from anxiety or panic, tinctures is a really good way to do it immediately. Well, don't say immediately, it's like 5 minutes, but calms you down and relaxes you. And if you do enough, it actually puts you to sleep. And even with the CBD pen, not only is it really relaxing and it keeps your mind pretty clear and calm, but if you wake up way too early and you're still tired, but your mind's racing or like you can't fall back asleep, I just roll over, I hit this once and I go back to sleep within like 3 seconds. So I'm just all about this now. CBD is such an extremely helpful tool if anybody's maybe suffering from the same things or looking for some kind of alternative source.
Some of the I had this variety back in San Diego called Cosby, and it was like a 1-to-1 high THC. It was like 12% THC and like 15% CBD. And I ran that variety for a little while, and I made hash out of that stuff. And on the numbers, it was something like 50% CBD and 25% THC. And that specific high, that combination with whatever terpenes that was, it made me feel like if you take mushrooms and you don't get the psychedelic feeling, but you get that body fry.
Yeah.
That's what it made me feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that. Yeah, it's just weird. It's like it's a euphoric feeling, man. Yeah, it's like it's kind of hard to say unless you kind of feel it. But yeah, that's a good way to kind of. Well, for anyone who hasn't done mushrooms, yeah, it's just really yeah, try it.
I wanted to kind of repeat something I said before the show, which is potentially that you might have inflammation within your body, whether it's in your brain or in your body, that the CBD is really helping you with that maybe you didn't realize, because that's one of the big major things that CBD helps with is just lowering inflammation in general. And another thing that I shared with you that a lot of people have been kicking around the last couple of days, but it's CBD has actually been shown, as well as I think it's CBDA and CBGA recently were just found to prevent people from being infected by coronavirus. And that was like a fairly substantial study that they looked at. And the other thing that CBD does for COVID is it helps lower the amount of spread. So it creates like it inhibits its ability to recreate within the body. So they're saying that just good old CBD prevents the amount of virus replication within the body, and the viral load in total is lower in people that are using CBD while they're infected with COVID, if they do get infected. So
Pretty cool.
interesting stuff and good news for cannabis in general. So I'm always happy to share that. And if anybody wants, I'll probably include those links below the show notes after. I have them up on my phone to easily share to people. So I definitely have looked through the science and do think that there's something to it.
But how much CBD are you getting in what you're using there? Like how much are you smoking in the like per?
Yeah, no, that's an amazing question. I have the cart box that it came in, but it's kind of far from where I'm at right now.
I'll tell you
Like
this,
a
if it's an
gram?
isolate, if it's 99% roughly and it's 1 gram, it's like 1,000 milligrams per cart.
Yeah, I mean, my curiosity is like, so like obviously like we're trying to do like this health thing is like, well, pure isolate is obviously, I assume some kind of, well, it comes in powder from what I've seen, but like, what are you cutting it with to make it smokable in a vape pen? And is that part healthy? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a
You
good
can just
point. I
melt
wasn't
it.
thinking about that as much.
You can. I think it's heatable. It's like THC. If you could
Well,
get
I'm
it to a
wondering,
pure enough.
is it literally isolate in liquid form? You know, that's what I don't know.
To my
I
understanding,
just asked
that's all it is.
because I've heard from a lot of people that say that like to get some of the effects or a lot of the effects, like people will go and get like a CBD gummy or something, and the cannabidiol is like 10 milligrams or something. But like for a lot of people, they need to have like many, many more milligrams per kilogram to get the effects that they want. Of course, it's different depending on how you administer it, right? But that's why I asked, because I was just curious to like marry
In
up
Kyle's case, I
the
would say
effects. And
I don't think it matters because he's getting the desired effect regardless of how many milligrams he's consuming.
of course,
Whether
it
it's
matters
placebo.
because other people could
Or
extrapolate from
CBD.
that.
But I'm just saying, like for his actual personal use case, in a general sense, it matters. Like scientifically, if we wanted to be able to share that information, but like for him, it's provided relief, and that's what I'm saying. That's the main thing that matters to the patient. It's like you've got symptoms, you need them treated. This helped alleviate the symptoms. So I didn't mean to discount the fact that it does matter the exact dose. And
Yeah, you guys both have a point. I mean, I am kind of curious if like how
I thought it was
many grams of isolate is it taking me to feel where I feel comfortable. That I would like to know that, and I could maybe gauge things off of that too, and do other things and make my own gummies and shit or whatever. But
help you do some of the math, at least like for my cart. I've got these little Steezy mods. It's a California or whatever. They come in 1 gram, and then you look at the percentage connection is unstable. Hopefully, but if you look at 85% THC, and it tells you that's milligrams per gram, and I use one of these a week and 3.5, like exactly a week per gram. So I just run, I think it calculates to, I use rough 100 and something milligrams per day of THC for my distillate. So you use and 4 and things like top of it. But as far as like my wife picking up more of these things for me, it's nice to know like, oh, you use 1 a week or 1 every half week if it's half gram. So you can give yourself an idea just by doing that kind of like back of the napkin math, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And like dosing is going to be different for different people too, I would imagine. Although speaking of CBD products, I'm sure I think we've sort of made jokes about this before, but people who put CBD in everything, it seems like, even things like bed sheets infused with CBD. What do we think about that?
I've got a CBD pillowcase right behind me. My mother-in-law gave to me.
That's right. You mentioned it.
But I don't think it actually provides like the effect is probably gone after a single wash or use it for a week or so. There is benefits of using CBD topically. I think that I don't think that it's going to be. I bet you can lab testing and see how many wash still has no CBD at all left in it. The interesting thing, though, looking at the study that I'm about the COVID issue, I don't actually see milligrams of CBD. They're looking for a presence in the blood, but I need to read deeper into this. They're talking about like 1-to-1 CBD, THC, and a few different things they examined, but it's pretty long. This is like an NIH.gov paper. But I said I'll hear that and hopefully be able to edit a little bit more this week to give people more information on that. But I agree with what you said earlier, Matthew, which is most people are not ingesting enough CBD to get the desired that they've maybe heard reported on with kids with autism. Many of them take CBD and many of them are taking maybe too low of a dose and they're not getting like enough in that individual capsule. Like you said, maybe 10 milligram and they need 500 milligram a day. They're only taking 1 or 2 a day, where I think it's important to get a potent dosage per their weight to try and achieve the effect.
I wonder, and it seems like that's
finding it.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah. I think that's typically with like consuming it. The reason why I asked was because, I think, of course, for understandable and obvious reasons, we associate smoking with like adult activities and things like that. But I just wonder if like under the right conditions, like an inhaler or something like this. I'm speaking off the cuff. I'm sure that there are more articulated ways of putting this out, but like maybe part of the problem is that we focus on certain kinds of consumption, and in some cases, I think it's people just not understanding the sort of pharmacology of CBD. But in the other ways, it's like maybe there are just better routes as well for certain kinds of needs. So that's why I wanted to say, because I want to emphasize that one way over another way might just be a smarter move logistically.
Looks like Jack is completely frozen, at least on my screen. And I've been having a hard time even understand him. He's been going in and out for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah,
A
I
little
haven't
bit for
been
me
putting it
too.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. We can still chop it up.
Hey, I got dropped there for a second. Can you guys hear me? I'm back.
Yeah.
Yes, very well.
All right. That was a little spooky. Everything you guys started chopping for a second. I was like, I bet you it's my connection, because I saw Spartan chop like to his left and he froze for a second. Kyle chopped to the right. He froze for a second. I was like, oh shit, this is probably me. And then everything on my screen just crashed, but it automatically booted me back into the meeting again. So I guess that's a good thing. Sorry for the interruption. But we were talking a little bit about CBD, and I don't know, I didn't hear the last comment.
I just basically said that I wanted to emphasize that some ways of consuming it is better than others for certain ways, and certainly wasn't trying to discount anyone's experience. In fact,
I just wanted to reply to that. I think that you're totally right in that ingestion versus inhalation, especially on the THC side, it's so apparent. Anybody who smoked THC their whole life and then eats an edible and gets an entirely different effect than they've ever had from smoking it knows that ingestion versus inhalation are going to lead to two different effects. And I think with CBD, both the duration and the actual effect are going to be different. Like Kyle's talking about inhalation of it.
The onset, that's a huge thing, right? Because if we're talking about onset and we're coming from like a pharmaceutical standpoint, a lot of times medications they look at, how long does this take to activate? And smoking is pretty much instant, as opposed to something that if you dose wrong could be anywhere from 15 minutes to like you might feel it the next morning when you wake up.
You're totally right. And that's what Matthew was talking about, the inhalation method. And like an inhaler, there's actually a brand in California called Dosist, DOSIST, and it has like 50 pre-measured hits in a vape cart. So like it has, let's say 100 milligrams. Each of those 50 hits is going to be 5 milligrams. And like they have one that's like marketed for sleep, one that's kind of marketed, in my opinion, more towards like older ladies and things like that. But like Jane Fonda, I think, was advertising it for a little while. But at that low of a dose, somebody like most of us isn't going to be able to get enough of a medical effect off of it. But for somebody who's a lighter user, they don't want to use too much. So it actually is smart to like scale them down. Where like with this, I can pull on this cart and make myself cough my lungs out if I pull on it all the way until I get like the blinking light, or I could suck on it for 3 seconds and get just a tiny little bit of vapor. So it really it's a different experience than having a pre-measured something. So I do think that there's going to be people in the medical field going for those pre-measured inhalations, because like Brandon just mentioned, it's a more instant effect, and having it exactly dosed would be nice for people that want that, kind of like how you can get with an edible or a drink or whatever it is now.
Yeah, I mean, they've pretty much figured out, people have all pretty much figured out all of the different types of ways that you can introduce THC and CBD and other cannabinoids into the bloodstream pretty effectively. I mean, you've seen like topical patches that you just slap on, just like slow release things. Like, man, you see it every different possible method.
Now it's micronized, though. That's the whole new thing. It's going to hit you quicker. We got this micro infused that, and I don't know if it does or doesn't.
Yeah, that's the fastest way, right? Oh,
I'm with you on that. I'm a bong hit aficionado, but the a lot of people out there don't even smoke cannabis at all. In like the new markets, they're coming in, they just want to eat it. They just want to, roll it on or whatever. So
that's actually where I was going with it. It's because, and I don't think you got this when you were fusing with the Matrix, but mostly I want to emphasize it because smoking has kind of like, for good reasons, sort of an adult connotation, but like at the same time, it could also be the exactly perfect thing to do. But because for again, good reason, we sort of associated with that, it might keep us from using the right thing for the right situation because of a sort of a conceptual or emotional attachment bias rather than something more logical. It
makes sense too. Like someone might associate, smoking being unhealthy and that not me being their preferred method to consume something,
I have to correct myself. Ancient Soul Grown, my editor of 50 Strains of Green, just reminded me it's not micro infused, it's nano infused is the proper terminology. So I don't want to have to go and correct myself. But yeah,
more micro than micro.
Yes, nano. They had that both in CBD.
More scale and even smaller.
It's going to be micron infused soon, down to the micron size, single micron.
They make a suppository. I know somebody that makes suppository CBD tablets too, if anybody's interested.
I've heard actually a lot of people, and I've never used a suppository for anything, but I'm not going to judge anybody who does, but a lot of people report they have great effects with a suppository. And I think Scotty Reel mentioned with a THC suppository, he had like an interesting effect. Maybe it was him or somebody else, but he said the high was like from the neck down, like they could only feel it in their body. Like it was like really intense, like all in the body, but nothing in the head. So just an interesting side note on the suppository front.
Yeah, everything. There you go. You got all the flavors of the rainbow.
All the ingestion methods. I had THC infused popcorn. That's one of my new favorites there. They infuse the butter in the bag and you pop it, throw a little salt in there. It actually tastes just like regular old popcorn. I thought there would be like a little bit of a weed flavor, but they must do like Spartan and get that chlorophyll flavor out there. But it's damn good.
Yeah, get that movie theater.
What would you know on that?
They just put tiny amount in.
Yeah, it's only like 50 milligrams a bag, but I will say I've been eating like 1.5 grams to 2 grams of RSO like each night before bed. So it's just like a little extra. I'm like, oh, if I'm gonna have popcorn, it might as well be infused, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's a hefty dose.
What do you think?
I'll take usually like 2 or 3 rice grain size of solventless RSO, but it's RSO, and that's it. I don't think I'd be able to function if taking that much.
I take a 1/2 gram, and that's, well, I usually take a little bit more now, but 1/2 gram is around, when I had it tested, it was like 300 and some change THC at a 1/2 gram. So I can't even imagine a gram. I've taken a gram before. The interesting thing for me, between a 1/2 gram dose and a gram dose was the high was just as strong. It wasn't twice as strong. It was just as strong. It just lasted longer.
That's my experience, and it's helping me sleep all the way through the night. I used to do like a 1/2 gram 3 times a day, sometimes to a 1.5 grams a day. And the other night, like I took 1.75 grams and I still couldn't sleep. So I took 2 grams last night, and it just, I'd rather do it all at night than take it throughout the day. And I'd rather consume, like we were talking, orally ingesting, like smoking. So throughout the day, vaping and things like that. But even just like vaping versus smoking, like even the same strain, for example, I was toking out of my bong. I had my freshly harvested Donny Burger, and I was noticing, it was getting me medicated, but I was kind of starting to feel a little bit strain tolerant to it after like a couple days. And then all I did was change from vaporizing it out of a bong to smoking it out of the bong. And the actual smoking it effect was so much different than the vaporizing effect. And I felt like I got way higher because all that other stuff that's left in there that I'd normally, take that already been vaped and turn it into RSO and get medicated off it again. I'm getting all of that in the smoke. So it definitely is a different effect. And so even though smoking it might seem like an adult thing, if that's the effect that's needed for an individual, then I almost would have to say, like, although there are warnings out there that smoke is not as good for your lungs as vapor, that effect is going to be the effect that's going to help an individual in some cases. So it also might be the opposite. Maybe the vaporization is going to help some people and smoking will be not as beneficial, but it all just comes down to individual use case. A lot of people are fans of Donnie Burger. I see in the chat. I know Spartan just had a Mitten Canico posted like a little thing of you, and you were like, I don't even know if you're dancing or not, but they put some filter on it, and you were like waving around, and I don't know. It's like how you feel when you smoke Donnie Burger, and I was like, yep.
Yeah, I had to wear in that video. You'll see I'm wearing a mask. It's because I couldn't. As soon as I opened the door to that room before the harvest, I was like, "Yep, I'm putting the mask on," because it's just my sinuses go insane when they're assaulted by that room. That like anything GMO or GMO lineage tends to fuck with me pretty hard. And that Donnie is like, wow, it's intense when you have 150 in a room.
I think my pheno leaned a little bit more towards the OG than the GMO. It's like kind of a little bit more citrusy. My buddy's pheno, I will admit, because I'm not a fucking liar, my buddy locally has a way better pheno of Donnie Burger than I do. Like I'm glad that I didn't keep the cut because his shit's on mine. Mine is more like lemon with like a gassy, and then there's that very, very, very subtle, like much more subtle than his garlic funk note. The thing that I like about the Donnie Burger is that garlic funky, just like crazy, like it's potent and just raunchy. Like I love that about it. And mine was just a little bit more like kind of like an OG if you slapped a little bit of garlic in there, but a lot more lemony. So definitely have more seeds to look through, and I will look through more of them later. But love the Donnie Burger. If the Major General 420 Army is in the chat, he always says, Jack, give me that Donnie Burger. He's over in Canada, and I guess he's tried to get seeds of it, and Canada's tough to get seeds to, and apparently that one gets nabbed, just like a lot of other people's seeds do, unfortunately.
The one that we got, it's like pure funk. I don't get any of the other citrus or none of that bullshit. It's straight offensive.
That's what I was looking for, and I was like, damn it, like this came out a little bit more sweet than I was ever hoping. This is the first Donnie Burger pheno I've seen that isn't offensive. So I'm like, fuck, like this is exactly what I'm looking for out of it. And everybody knows every other Donnie Burger pheno. So from like, this is just not representative of a sample. I got the redheaded stepchild of the bunch.
It might be the unicorn, man.
It could be, but with so much citrus and gas around here, it's just like it won't stand out at all. Like, unfortunately, there's a lot of lemon things out there that it's just not too unique. You know, I want to find something that's a little bit more. That Donnie Burger is funky and atrociously offensive to some people, and I just think that's funny. And the potency level of some of the other phenos I've seen is also probably like, if mine's a 8 out of 10, I've seen other ones that are like 10 and a half, 11 out of 10. You know, like they get you so stony you don't know what to do with yourself.
It's some of the most potent stuff I've smoked. Hits me up pretty hard.
Yeah, I definitely am a fan for sure. It's bred by Skunk House Genetics. If anybody doesn't know, they've got a lot of other stuff: triple burger, double burger, a bunch of burger related, and they're mostly GMO back crosses to the Larry OG F8 male that they've worked with for a while. So
yeah, the Larry OG is pretty good too. It's one of my favorite OGs.
It's a solid OG. It's been running on the West Coast for years and years, still kicking around in some places. So Brandon, what are you choking on over there tonight? Are you able to indulge with us as we have the show?
Oh, I just was smoking on some Limelight also. I was smoking on the same thing Spartan is.
My face is tingling right now because of it. All like right here around my eyes. I want to shout out to chat here. Brett Wendell. He says, I take 2 to 3.5 gram doses of FICO a day for cancer. I never feel high, but my tumors are shrinking. I love hearing that shit. I love hearing that.
You definitely get used to taking those heavier doses. The first couple times you take it, it'll absolutely debilitate you. And then after that, you're like, oh, I just feel great. Like I don't feel any pain. Or like my 10 pain is down to like a 4. I'm not going to pretend it's like a miracle. It's going to erase all your pain, but definitely makes me feel a lot better. And the pain that I have is a lot more manageable. And I sleep way better with it for sure.
So I think, well, I can speak for myself at least. The big reason I always started patients off really low and slow on RSO is because it can enhance other medications. So that's one thing that's not talked about enough. I don't think there is one danger there. You know, a lot of times cannabis oil is held up like this cure all, but yeah, it helps with a lot of things, but it also makes some medications work really well. Like, for example, blood thinners. That's the one that for sure I saw that directly when my uncle first came on RSO. He was already taking blood thinners for his heart, and they had to keep on it and keep titrating his blood thinner down as I was going up with the RSO, because it works as a blood thinner as well. That's just one of many things. So
CBD has the similar effect. Matthew has talked in the past about warfarin, which is a blood thinner that no other grower is on because he's had heart, I think, surgeries in the past. That is directly impacted by the CBD. So it's something he has to be very honest with his doctor if he's taking CBD about, because it will impact his dosage and amount of warfarin that he'd have to take. So that is a very real conversation that I think people need to be aware of. And I'm glad that California is actually super open. Any doctor I've gone to, whether it's for me or the kids on the autism spectrum that I work with, about cannabis use, they want to know what you're taking, how much of it you're taking, and even sometimes where you're getting it from. So they can, some of these doctors will try and go through the source of like, hey, you're getting this shitty gas station CBD, you should be getting it from a safer source or something, so I'm happy to see that people are, and especially doctors, are becoming more open to it and wanting to help people get the best quality medication that they can.
I've tried that gas station. I went to I ran out of so I have a friend that gets isolate by like a lot of weight, and she takes organic grapeseed oil and uses the CBD and makes just a really clean product. And it's a person, it's a friend. And one time I ran out, I had went to a vape shop to get like some CBD there, which first of all was extremely expensive compared to what I was getting for. And then I put them in real quick, and I got like extremely horrible adverse effects. I don't know if it's just because what they allow in stores or what guidelines they can achieve just to get it into the store. I'm not sure what it was, but I don't suggest. I guess it depends on where you go. Maybe some places have good stuff, but I had a bad experience with buying it off from a place.
have you tried just smoking CBD flower? Have you gotten the same positive benefit from that, or no?
Well, so I wouldn't say I'm afraid. So I do have a blunt that has CBD flower, but it also has like also obviously terps and stuff. I haven't tried it yet. I do want to try it. I haven't tried it yet, but I want to. And who knows? Maybe that might. I am curious how that feels, to be honest.
I was just thinking maybe it's something you could grow yourself. You could get a plant that you like the terps on and everything, grow your own CBD and be your own source.
That's true.
That's definitely the way to do it.
How are they breaking it down into isolate? What's that process?
You can do that solventlessly. I could teach you how to do it.
They're probably doing distillation, but you could do it with just a tincture. You can make a tincture with just alcohol, soak your buds in alcohol like you would any, like you would a THC one.
Skilbo was telling me, this is way back when he was on our show. He was showing me a recipe. I guess he has a pretty good recipe that he uses.
He's got an awesome recipe.
Yeah,
his rollerball stuff is amazing. It is fucking amazing. It's not just cannabis. He's using the medicine of lots of medical plants there, and I love that stuff. He's honestly, Skillo, like if we ever go federal, like that shit needs to be like in every store shelf, because I love it. I hope our other people will start creating their own similar remedies. I think most of the cannabis that we saw in like the 30s that was pharmaceutically sold was similar to like Skillo style tinctures. It's like cannabis oil with other things in there. So
is he doing his own thing, or is it just for him and his family? Do you guys know?
He just does his own thing.
Yeah.
But the thing that I was going to say earlier about how you can solventlessly produce your own CBD distillate is the same way that you do a solventless THC, which they make rosin out of CBD flower, and then they press that rosin in a bag until all the terpenes basically run out. So they do it at like 100 degrees, 110, 120, 130, 140. And they just keep pressing that same bag. They never change the bag. So you press it over and over. And once it gets like 200 or 215, all the terpenes are pressed completely out. And what you're left with is almost like a chalky, or like it looks just like a white. If there's anthocyanin in there, it'll be purple or whatever. But most of the time it ends up looking like a white brick that you bust up into a powder. And that's what the CBD distillate and isolate powders typically. That might not be the process they use to get there, but it is a process that you can use with no chemicals or solvents at all. It just takes some time and effort, but it's doable.
Are you still smoking biomass in that scenario? Probably, right?
No, you can squeeze 100. You could literally do this until it is 99.99%. People have gotten their stuff tested, like the THC distillate or isolate or whatever they want to call it.
You just smoke it like Keef.
Yeah, they use it as like a bolt. Actually, I've seen it dabbed. That's where I see it most.
I've dabbed it.
Yeah, it drops right in a banger.
It works to drop your fucking high down. If you have a high THC high, it'll drop that down pretty quick.
I think Sequence carries it to events for that exact reason. If people get too high, he's like, "Hey, I've got the 100% CBD distillate or isolate."
Dave Skilbo did. I tried it. I tried it right after he did. Yeah, it was pretty fucking cool. Went home and made some CBD RSO right after that, and I have that just in case I get too high on anything.
That was my experience. The CBD RSO. I got a free gram of it from my old job. We used to sell THC and CBD RSO, and I was never a big CBD fan because whenever I tried the flower, I'd be like smoking THC flower and like be feeling real good. And then my boss, he is, bless his soul, he got more people on CBD than anybody else I know. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And he'd push it on everybody. He'd give it away for free to many people. But this was like before CBD was hot or whatever. But every time I'd be chilling, smoking, I'd be like, oh, let me try that ACDC sample. Let me try that, whatever it was. And I'd smoke it and it would just bring my high so down. And I'm like, this is just the exact fucking opposite of what I wanted. And it's like, back then I was like a patient, customer, whatever, wasn't growing. It's like, I'm spending my good money on this THC bud just to fucking smoke a little bit of like this. It looked great too. It was like black, this ACDC. It looked so dank and it smelled good. And I smoke it and just boom, like straight off the cliff, back down to reality. Like,
it's such a powerful tool for a caregiver though, to give to a patient. Especially an older person who's afraid to try THC, you can be like, look, here's your parachute, here's your safety net. If you get too high, you can just put some of this in there and you're good.
Who's making who's got some good organic RSO CBD? I'm kind of curious on what that's like.
So what I do is I just went to shout out to Skilbo again. He recommended me a company called Happy Buds. It's Buds spelled with a Z at the end. And they sell hemp. It's all tested, terpene tested, cannabinoid tested. So you can search for, like he likes to search to use in his tinctures and stuff. He likes to search for, obviously they all have CBD, but he likes to search for like CBN, or he'll search for a certain terpene, CBG. Yeah, that's a big one right now. And he'll search for those and so that he can include it. And then you can buy buds, you can buy trim, you can buy, whole, anywhere from, I think the smallest is maybe like a half ounce or something. I'm not sure, but you can go all the way up to pounds right online, and it's ridiculously inexpensive. Like I can't grow it for what they're doing it for, and it's tested and it's got the test report for me.
Well, and pesticide and heavy metal tested too. It's not just the terpenes and cannabinoids. You're also getting assurance that they're not spraying shit on it and things like that. So
yeah, I don't know if it was organically grown or synthetically grown or whatever, but I mean, it's probably outdoor grown just to be that cheap. But that's what I just bought some of that. I just bought an ounce of something. I can't remember. Actually, we bought 2 ounces and split them. So I got a half ounce of each, and I made that into RSO of this high CBD, and it had, I think CBG was the other other cannabinoid that was in there. RSO, and I just have a little vial of that now, and then I mean, it's lasted me forever because I've only had to use it once and twice here and there. But
yeah, because all you need is like a half a rice grain, right, or something like that.
CBD is something that I haven't looked into it 100% a lot, but I tend to look at things from the medicinal side of things, and from what I see, the levels of CBD that ingested wise is always high levels, over like hundreds and like 200, 300, 400, 500. I've seen 1,000 milligrams of CBD recommended. So it really does boggle my mind when I see these fucking things in the store that are 5 milligrams of CBD and 10 milligrams of CBD. I'm just like, show me the science, because I'm seeing science where they're talking fucking 500 milligram doses and shit.
Right.
And it's tough to, especially if you're going into like the CBD shop, like Kyle was talking about earlier, you're spending like, I don't know, $50 for, I don't know, like a 50 milligram little tiny thing or whatever, but you can go online, there's some great spots like the Happy Buds that he just talked about, and others where you can get good tested CBD for way, way, way lower costs. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, shout out to Marcus Greentham. He just said that thanks for the recommendation. I got the CBD isolate from Happy Buzz. So apparently they got isolate right on their webpage too.
Save yourself some trouble on the process. There's God, I'm blanking on his name, but he gave away a bunch of hemp seeds a while ago, and God damn, I wish I could fucking remember his name right now. But Future 4200 is another one where he was selling like CBD infused coconut oil, and I think for like $100 you'd get, I want to say it was like a 10,000 milligram, like a crazy high dose. So he's just trying to drive the actual cost down because a lot of people are selling it at astronomical prices when really, if you just go through a legitimate source, you can make it yourself, or even hopefully their isolate or distillate is fairly priced. But I definitely don't think people should get their, selves robbed trying to medicate, because literally like you'd go broke trying to get a therapeutic dose based on what Spartan was just saying. Like if you wanted to get a 500 milligram dose out of a 5 milligram gummy and they're charging like $10 for that gummy, your 1 day dose is going to cost you like thousands of dollars. So it's like, just, you have to really explore other options, whether it's growing your own, sourcing it from a bulk place, or, there's got to be another option, especially with legality of CBD. Hemp has been grown in every one of the 50 states now, and it has been for a few years since the Farm Bill. So there's a pretty large excess of hemp. So if you're paying too much for CBD, definitely reconsider, because I know there's just mass excess of CBD around. So it shouldn't, with the whole supply demand thing, right? If there's a huge supply of it, you shouldn't be paying like there's a tiny supply. And this is something
Yeah, I would just say if you can find a source that you have like at least an independent test on or something to give you peace of mind, because there's a lot of CBD that was rushing into the market from China and just overseas that doesn't have a standard. So who knows what exactly is, and that tends to be the stuff at the gas stations though. But if you have a test result, I even though I'm iffy on what I think about testing right now from the experiences I've had, but I still would feel better to have a test result than not. So I would look for at least that.
Matthew, do you have any thoughts or updates on IPM? I know we haven't gotten to pass the ball over to you a little bit today. So I know we've got a short-ish panel, and I'd love to bring you in a little on this conversation.
I got a question for Matt that might be cool for him to answer and maybe use some time. Matt, and I asked you personally, but if you could explain it in words so I could hear it too, how you would go about, let's say you owned a 5,000 square foot facility and you want to implement an IPM regimen. How would you go about treating those plants from clone form all the way into right before you flip the cycle in the flower? Or what do you think is a good standard protocol?
Like in a vacuum. So I think that it might be easier to sort of describe it like the different kind, like it kind of depends on your process too, a little bit. That's why when I do what I do, it's so bespoke, because I recognize that it's hard to account for all the different ways that people like to do things in certain ways. So kind of trying to be agnostic of all that, just thinking of it kind of in stages. You want to have something that basically biosecurity is all about controlling your inputs and outputs, like other things that we do in cultivation. So it's sort of the same concept. It's just that, like, for example, like like a 5,000 square foot facility, right? So like we're assuming an enclosed space, right? That's pretty good. Yeah. So I mean that because that's important, because that's a big thing. If you actually have a facility that is that's set up and is housing your plants, and there's not like a bunch of holes or like ingress points, and that's actually a really great boon. But not everyone can say that. Like, sure, they have the shelter, but they don't necessarily have the security still, because there's actually some sort of margins for error for that kind of a thing. But one thing that I would always recommend people do is like look at the area around your facility too, because you're obviously going to be on some sort of property, and presumably there's going to be some sort of vegetation around your space. And I like to harp on it a lot, but because in my experience, like for example, I'm doing a presentation on rice root aphids, and many times people have contacted me for rice root aphid remediation, and they're actually doing everything fine. And they'll always tell me something to the effect of, not always, but in these particular cases, it's very common that they'll say, yeah, we got rid of everything. And then they came back really quickly. Now, it could be because they didn't actually get everything, right? They just assume, or they can observe only what they can observe, right? But they didn't actually get rid of it. But a lot of times it's because I find that right outside their area, there's a rice root aphid growing on some grasses or something. So I'm always, it's just a thing that people should be very vigilant about. So having a good look at your outside area as well is sort of paramount, to my opinion. And then kind of keeping that vigilance if you're bringing in clones or things like that, designating a space. Like, so again, part of this, what's the word I'm looking for? The scenario. Like, do I have space for a quarantine room? That's something to consider, because I think that's incredibly important when you consider the amount of money that you're spending on plants in general, and all the other processes of cultivation, which are getting more and more expensive, which makes investing your resources, whether they're people who help you grow, or whether it's just literal, like machinery or equipment or logistics, whatever that is, all those things entailed. Having somewhere to put incoming plants that you plan to either turn into mothers, or that you plan to grow out, or whatever, because that's just such a massive way that people get pests. And if you can't allot that, or you don't have the space or labor to do that, I totally understand. It's difficult, and you only have so much space. But more and more, I feel like it's becoming the case that people can't go around. I mean, they can certainly. I know a lot of people who do this, but then they also call me for help because they run into a problem where they're just gunning it, sort of hip firing, and they run into a pest problem, and they just can't crush it for whatever reason. And a lot of these pests that we really get are very pernicious and difficult. They wouldn't be super big pests if they weren't, like russet mites or rice root aphids. Now, there are easy ways to get rid of them, but a lot of times people don't do the other thing I think is really important. So checking your outside space, having a quarantine space, and then also crop scouting. I don't want to bogart the conversation, but basically I think those are three really big things in the facility people should be doing. And that's part of the crop scouting is also true for outside, but also inside as well, regularly looking at your plants, also your quarantine space, and treating your quarantine space too. I suppose that's pretty good, but if you have something more specific, I'm happy to go into detail.
Yeah, I think that's honestly a brilliant answer. And I think that goes with almost all growing, right, you guys? I mean, whether you're going from
I would say so.
For inside, and just all those are really good points on all things. Do you recommend a product to spray in veg, or do you? Because I know Spartan uses something too. Are you guys all using sulfur and water in veg, or are you guys using some kind of a bio, just different product?
In veg, I'll switch. I got two. I use either Pure Crop 1, or I'll use Lost Coast Plant Therapy. I'll alternate between those two. I just do once a week. I'll spray. So 1 week I'll spray Lost Coast. The next week I'll spray.
So like every Monday you're switching it up, basically.
Yeah. Yep. Every week it's just a different one.
Okay.
I do the sulfur only on when I make a cut. So when I take a cut, I do a dunk, and then I do another dunk when it comes out of when it's rooted. It's got rooted and it's getting ready to be transplanted into a 1 gal. Then I'll dunk it again before I put it in that 1 gal. But after that,
I was wondering if that's a good idea. So yeah, so like right before, right? So while you're taking cuts, you're cleaning them completely in that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hitting them before they go in the clone dome and right when they come out. So they should be good in my eyes.
Right. I like that. I like that a lot.
I'd not to change it off the IPM topic, but I was just curious because this is the cheap home grow, and although not everybody can grow as much as we'd like them to, some people are going to buy things like CBD, like we were talking about earlier. And I looked into the Happy Buds CBD isolate, and then I found the cost per ounce. It is $119.95, which isn't terrible. 3.5 grams for $20. I found another group though. It's called the tetraguy.com. The Tetra Guy, I'll just give a personal story and then share their price. He gave thousands of cherry wine F3 seeds away for free. Anybody who said, hey, I want hemp seeds or CBD seeds that are guaranteed to be below a certain THC percentage and have a good amount of, hemp varieties and this smell or whatever. So he gave them away. I actually ended up gifting them to somebody else who wanted to grow CBD, but he's a good guy. And I've seen many, many people get his products when they order them. So I do believe that he's very legitimate. The tetraguy.com CBD isolate 1 ounce is $84, and he has for $15 a gram if you want to buy it per gram. So I think that's pretty damn good price. And I will vouch and if you get scammed or whatever, fuck, I'll reimburse you or buy whatever the hell he sends to you or something like that. I do believe in this guy though. And I do believe that it's important that people have access to good, clean medicine at a fair price. And so I just wanted to put him out there. I don't know if he does offer lab testing though. So if you want to pay a little bit more and have the peace of mind of the lab testing, then you can go through the Happy Buds. So I just wanted to throw those price points out there and mention them because I know Kyle might benefit and maybe others as well who are finding CBD isolate to be beneficial for their medical needs.
I mean, cherry wine sounds delicious to me. So I wonder if he has that on his website as some of it.
He still has a bunch of stuff. Not to make this like an ad for him or whatever, but yeah, both him and the Happy Buds. So when I went to look up a Happy Buds, I went to happybuds.com and it said buy it on GoDaddy. So you have to do happybudshemp.com. But I think Spartan probably may have said that. I just didn't type out the whole thing. But yeah, he does carry seeds under his shop. I should probably be sharing the screen so you guys could all see this, but you know what? I'll do that. I'll be a good host. And I'll actually make it possible for you guys to share screen because I forgot to do that earlier, but share screen, boom. So this is his shop. You can see there's like a lot of stuff, isolates for CBD and other things like that, but seeds down here, cherry wine F3. He's now selling them for $225 for a 500 pack.
I'll do that. I'll do that all day.
Or what is this? $13.50 for 5 seeds. 10 seeds is $36. So it seems like you get a better price if you go for larger amounts, obviously, but that's like most things. But yeah, he used to give them away for free. I think probably to build up his name and things like that. But I did verify I got a pack. I entered and he sent them to me. So cheers to him and, the mission. Every single time I've seen him doing like a live stream, he seems like a dude with a really big heart who actually cares about the people and seems to put out a good product. I haven't heard anybody else really complaining with this stuff. So I feel okay advocating for him.
I checked out Happy Buds and they have all that same kind of stuff. They have like actual you could dabbable fucking concentrates made out of CBD.
They had CBN powder. I was fucking blown away at the price.
They got
everything.
CBG isolate powder, CBD isolate powder. The CBG isolate powder is only from $10 too.
If it's federally legal, how many hemp? If it's just like at that point, if it's classified as hemp, do you still need a license to grow after such a certain number? Right?
You need a license to grow hemp, but it's a whole lot easier to get than growing regular old cannabis.
I mean, are you allowed to have 12 hemp plants at least then? Let's say your cannabis law is 12 THC plants.
Yes. It's usually like unlimited pretty much.
Yeah, dude, you could go talk to your state though. You probably can get a license for very cheap, probably as low as $50 to as expensive as maybe 1,000, but that'll allow you to grow as many fucking plants as you want per acre or whatever your lot is. You could grow as many fucking hemp plants as you want.
I'm just curious what you would be allowed to without having to get a license, even though considering there's like no THC in it.
I don't think there's any. I don't think you're allowed to without a license.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Yeah, as part of like the being federally legalized, they have a structure probably in every state to get a license. Right. If they made it legal, they're going to give you an avenue. And I don't think that it is very expensive, but like you're saying with just growing it as cannabis, call it like a high CBD cannabis, not hemp. Whatever amount you're allowed to grow, you can grow.
I think tobacco is regulated that same kind of or similar. Like you can't just grow it. You can't just grow it. You got to get a license.
Right. Probably. But Jack, I gotta skate out of here. I think Brandon might have to too. I don't know. Or unless
go ahead and give your final thoughts and shout out.
Yeah, sorry for leaving early, guys. I got a lot of stuff to do tonight and for tomorrow. And I'm on the East Coast, so for anyone that doesn't know, it's 8 o'clock here, and I gotta wake up at 5 in the morning every day. So it's kind of tough some days, depending on what I have going on. But yeah, Kyle Breeder here. I specialize in feminized seeds. I will be having some pretty cool reg lines coming out, like some skunks and some northern lights and some others kind of. I got a bunch of crazy projects going on that are kind of coming to fruition. I have some brand new packaging that actually looks extremely unique and really cool that I'm excited about. But it's
Well, I'm excited because yours is usually pretty goddamn good to begin with. Your packaging.
yeah.
Somebody said this is the fanciest packaging I've ever seen. I think it was Baked Pone. He was going through a seed collection. He goes, I got some Kyle Breeder stuff. This is the fanciest package I've ever gotten.
Well, you know what it is? Everyone's doing the like aluminum or whatever that like aluminum packet stuff, and I was just trying to do more of like just like my own kind of thing, and just gonna make my own way. But again, I'm pro America all day long, but I went through Alibaba, and I just have this really unique, fully customized packaging. And the downfall is it's Chinese New Year, which I didn't know was a thing, and I guess they take like a whole month off. So I'm not going to have my shit for like 3 months or something like that. I asked them yesterday. She said next Monday it'll ship, but then it has to go ship to the cargo, from the cargo across the ocean, from the ocean to a place, and from the place shipped to my house. I don't know how long that takes, but I'm sure it's a month or something. But so that's cool. I'm wicked excited about that. But yeah, other than that, I won't take too much more of the time here. But yeah, pure_breeding on Instagram, pure breeding on Facebook, purebreeding.com if you want seeds. Random news, I do accept credit cards right now, which is like extremely rare. So anybody who's looking to not have to do PayPal and Venmo and all this other stuff, I do have credit card options. And other than that, I mean, I love all you guys. I'm glad we're still doing this. Again, Jack, we should definitely do some kind of a meetup thing that you were talking about earlier. I mean, I think, we should all meet up at some point somehow. Yeah, take care of you guys, and I'll see you guys on Sunday.
Have a good one, Kyle. And Chinese New Year is definitely real. My sister-in-law got stuck in China for months. She went back for Chinese New Year, and with the whole pandemic, got stuck there pregnant. So crazy enough, she just got back, and thankfully is back in the US with my brother. But thanks again for joining us, Kyle. And I mentioned a little bit before the show to Kyle that I'm considering, I'm hoping around October time, to host the first ever, and I'm hoping to call it first annual Cheap Home Grow Cup, which my goal is not to make anybody do anything illegal, but have some growers and listeners of the show all meet up in the central area of Las Vegas where cannabis is legal. And if you are able to somehow get a sample to that location, everybody on the panel, myself, Spartan, Brandon, Matthew, and Kyle, and the rest of the crew would all be the judges. And we just kind of have a little criteria. I'd make up a little scoring card or whatever, and we'd go through and judge all the buds. And it'd be more of just like a meetup and have fun. But if you want to bring some buds to get judged, I think it'd be a fun time, and we could turn it into a little competition. So lots of green hearts in the chat for that idea. I'm already seeing, and I don't think it'd be a tough sell because I think everybody likes to meet up, get together. In Vegas, it's extremely cheap to travel to. They subsidize travel because the casinos and everything. I'd advocate people be responsible with their drinking and gambling. Obviously, those are two of the reasons that they can make it so cheap to travel there. So you don't want to throw all your money away doing that when you could have all the fun at the Cheap Home Grow meetup, wherever it's going to be. It's not decided quite yet, dates or times. It's definitely not going to be on a fucking Wednesday though, because that's when they're harvesting it in Canico. That's all I know. It can't be a Wednesday. But other than that, I'm shooting for around October. My birthday's in October. I think it'd be fun to meet up with everybody and have a throwdown. Basically rent out a hotel hall room or whatever, and somewhere that they're allowing us to smoke inside and just have a good time.
If I have enough advance notice, I can get a week off. So
I'll give you advance notice. It might have to be in Oklahoma. Shit, they seem like they just let everything go down in Oklahoma. So I don't know, Brandon, what do you think? Is Oklahoma the Wild West like it's made out to be?
Oh, it's cool, man. People here don't trip on stuff. You can go to we just had our little Growcast meetup at a restaurant, and we were just puffing tough. People were passing around big ass bags of weed up on the balcony and shit. So it's cool.
Good to hear. Good to see. I also just saw Aaron, the grower, posted that he's all fired up and inspired to get back to busting his ass after he went over to meet up with you guys. I heard you guys got to smoke a few bowls and hang out. He picked up some Blacklight and some Limelight F2. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that meetup before. I know you got to get running in a little bit. I don't know when exactly, but maybe you could talk a little about touching base with Aaron there.
Yeah, he came by. I think he had to run up to Tulsa, so on his way back to his place, he stopped by and I went by the Bokashi office and just kind of showed him around, showed him what I was getting into over there, and I was just letting him know like kind of what I had planned for this year, which is Bokashi Earthworks is going to be partnering up, um, and I'm going to be basically vertically integrated. I'll have a whole farm. It'll be my own thing. But I found somebody that's going to invest in me basically and all the stuff that I'm doing. So I'll have all my labeling from my products, registered through California and Oregon, and hopefully have national distribution. I just got a bunch of different stuff going on. So working on figuring it all out.
Do you have a new kitten over there?
Nope, I have an old cat and a 65-pound puppy who is a bulldog, and
Not a puppy anymore.
he's a monster. He's huge. I mean, I weighed him, took him to the vet the other day. He weighs 65 pounds. He's about 10 months old. And
So he's still growing. He's got another few months, dude. He's gonna get huge.
he's a big boy. I thought they were supposed to be small. But
Chevy
anyway,
Chase
I
living
gotta
up to his
keep going,
name.
guys. So it was nice talking to you guys, and I'll see you guys all next week. Check me out on Bokashi Earthworks on IG, BokashiEarthworks.com. Get you some Bokashi stuff.
Cheers, Brandon. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you, and cool to hear about what you've got coming in the future. I know it inspired Aaron. It inspires me as well to hear you've got a lot planned, and I've seen you execute on a lot of the stuff that's already in your past that you're probably not even thinking about, but you've already made some big accomplishments, and you just keep pushing forward. So it's an inspiration to me and many others. So keep doing you and kicking ass, dude.
Have
See
a
you
good
guys.
night, buddy.
I think I might drop the Zoom link in the chat. I wasn't planning on doing it this week, but since there's just the three of us, maybe we could take some questions from the chat. And in the meantime, I'll go and pull that link and send it out.
Just the three of us.
We can make it if we try. Till 45. And then Spartan's going to go.
Yeah. Yep. The Russells are going good in my garden. They've got about the second or third set of leaf. Maybe their third set of leaves now. Starting to put out like fat shaped fan leaves. So which was kind of surprising between it's a Jack Herrera crossed with a Chem Dog. So I wasn't really expecting to see indica leaves, but it's looking kind of indica-esque. We'll see.
Jack Herrera is a weird one. It's got like basically every single genetic ever put in there. It's like it's everything, like all mixed into one. And Adam Dunn even joked if you like start getting into like crazy polyhybrids where it's like everything crossed together, it ends up just smelling like Jack Herrera. Like somehow, like when you bash everything together, like Jack Herrera comes out. So I don't know if there's a validity to do that, but he's been breeding for a long ass time. So I think maybe he's come across that, at least with the stuff that he was working with. I think now it's all so cookified. What I've seen is it all tastes like gelato or cookie or wedding cake.
Yeah, there's a lot of gelato being used, a lot of cookie stuff still. Around Michigan, you still see a lot of GG4 influence, which is nice. Brandon's bringing that back a little bit. Mac, I guess, is still out there. Not a lot, because I think it's hard to breed with Mac, maybe.
I think that's exactly why. And also, I think that even the true cut, like the Mac 1 that everybody got obsessed with, it was kind of hard to grow. So it like vegged kind of slow, depending on the situation or whatever. And it didn't stretch a ton. So production wise, it was hard to make it perform like a lot of people would prefer. Like GMO, for example, on the opposite end, other than the fact that it runs long as hell. I guess regular OG, like take a 9-weeker, it yields crazy well. It stretches and I don't know, does pretty well in a lot of rooms if you dial it in. I think that's why people like the ice cream cake. I think it's like a pretty good yielding, like cookie OG variant that has a good name and sold for at least the last season.
Man, I am so out of the loop with all of the different strains and everything. It's just because I sit back and I'm just like, I've got plenty of fucking seeds and then people who want to send me seeds. I'm not even the market to look for seeds. So I can't even keep up with all the new stuff.
I've stopped buying them as well. I'm pretty satisfied with my collection, and I don't want to just like waste money senselessly when I could spend it other places in the grow. And I'm making my own seeds now, so even more the reason to not like go and buy them when I don't know. It's you could invest that money in something else, or literally invest. But cheers to Cheddar Bob, who just joined us, regular member of our whenever we open up to these panels. Somebody gave me some feedback, and this isn't directed at you, Cheddar Bob, but to any of our people that want to jump on the panel. Just hopefully knowing how to mute and unmute their mic, and hopefully have a decent enough mic quality, because that was one of the complaints. Like the audio quality is not as good. And it's just random people jumping on all. But this show is called Growing with My Fellow Growers, not Growing with My Fellow Panelists. So I love the fact that we can bring up growers and make them part of the panel, because this is what this is all about. You guys ask questions, you come up and join us. So I love including everybody. So cheers, Cheddar Bob. How's things going over there?
Now that I'll unmute my mic, things are going good, man. It's been hella cold over on the East Coast here. Really weird temperature fluctuations. Like one day it'll be -14 with a wind chill, and the next day it'll be like 42 degrees, and go back down to minus. So it's been a little hard keeping my grow area consistent, in a basement in Maine, but
I feel like such a baby for complaining that it's been a little cold here, and now we're getting like 60 and 70 degree days that are sunny. So it's like I'm hearing that. It's just like okay, I'll just shut up about my weather over here and not complain at all, because it's pretty damn ideal. I know it. Even our coldest days aren't that bad.
So
yeah,
8 degrees right now here in Michigan.
Yeah, and see, like yesterday it was -14, and right now at night it's like 16 degrees. So it's like, what is going on here? So I don't know, but I'm on the coast, so that might, like, on an island, so that might, we stick out a little bit further. That might make a little bit of a difference too.
Has your humidity been pretty much next to nothing because of the cold?
Yeah.
That's
like,
the struggle.
Yeah. So, but I think it's been a few weeks at least since I was on and I showed you the progress of the Bruce banner. I'm actually quite impressed with these. These are in week 6. And I told you guys about the last 2 runs with it that had the mealy bugs. And they turned out okay, but not quite what I thought they were going to. This one, no mealy bugs. I had been using the ferments on like a schedule, twice a week, boom, 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 boom. And just the turnout is significantly noticeable. Turn you around here. So generally, this doesn't have, or I'm going to say this hadn't happened on the last 2 runs that I had with this. Just the internodal stacking. Generally, this would be like 1 here, 1 up here, and then like a 2 nugget cola.
Yeah, this is all filling in now. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, week 6 out of 10, and these things are looking beautiful.
Yeah, man, those look really beautiful. Frosty as fuck too.
Thick and healthy.
Super thick, super healthy. And it's just 3 plants in here, and it's pretty much filling a 5x5 in the 4x4 bed. Everything's pretty uniformed under the Ion 720. I got a little underneath fan that I just put in here because everything's starting to get more dense, so I need a little bit more air circulation.
Yeah, looks good though.
I like that you left it above that second screen. That hole between those 2 screens, you've got a bunch of buds down there. Well, where a lot of people would only have buds above that top screen.
Yeah, I mean, I
finish up great.
They are going to they're not going to finish up as dense, which is fine, but the trichome development on it is going to be perfect for washing or pressing or something like that. And just because to my eye or our eyes that it looks a little darker in there doesn't necessarily mean that the plants aren't, or the nugs down there and the leaves aren't getting the necessary amount of light. So yeah, I'm going to be happy with this turnout. This
Yeah,
is
for sure. And remember,
I'm-
the plant can utilize light from, that it absorbed at the top of the canopy and utilize it down to the bottom of the canopy.
Oh,
too.
absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, I had a couple outliers down there and I was like, I'm just going to cut them for clones. And I was like, oh, but they're poking out to the side. They're going to get some light.
I was just thinking the same thing. They're getting light.
Yeah. So yeah, but
It's always fun
I
to
was
leave a
luck-
few just to see like how they'll develop at that very, very bottom. Like, was it worth cutting it off? Was it not worth cutting it off? And then you'll
Yeah,
see like,
getting their bare minimum, I've had flowers like that would, you sometimes you get these little ones that pop up out of the little nodals that whatever, like you'll have a small nugget that you missed.
yep.
And
I know.
I've had ones just like swell and they're dense and it ends up being a beautiful little small tight nug, but it definitely turned out I wouldn't grow a whole plant of them, but yeah, I'm happy with this one.
It's looking great. I would be happy. Is this your last crop before you move? I think I remember
This
you
will
saying you're
be-
going to tear it down.
Yeah, I've got to tear this down before April. So this will be done in about 4 weeks. And then I have these ones, which I may have started a little bit too late. So it may kind of still reek of cannabis when when the owners get here. Oh well, we'll be gone, hopefully. So I got another Bruce Banner over here and a cherry pie. And 10 weeks takes me to like pretty much the end of March. Oops. But yeah, I had to flip these early, obviously, because we're moving. So I didn't get to fill out the screen. But yeah, they're looking all
Lots
right.
of love from the chat, by the way. Everybody's saying nice shaved legs, buds are looking good, killer, fire.
Oh,
Everybody's shouting you
jeez.
out. Lots of love.
I'm not
We got
gonna
Dog
turn-
Doctor joining us, and the American ones in the chat. I'm going to shame him. He says, "Oops, I was out and about and didn't realize the time at Cheap Home Grow." It's all right, Tao. Jump in. We got room for you.
That's what happens when you're in the city that never sleeps.
And now
It
it's a
sounds like
city
he's a
that's
stoner or something. Like he might smoke weed or something.
yeah, he's allowed to legally smoke in New York now, so he's just getting stoned all the time, and he can't remember what the hell he's doing. He doesn't know what day it is, doesn't know what time it is. He's forgetting to show up for his shows. Come on, Tao.
I always knew smoking turned you into a vagrant. He doesn't follow rules. Tragic.
Tao bringing on all the stoner stereotypes. So welcome to Dog Doctor, because he just got here, and Tao, you can sit in the corner quietly in shame.
Hey guys, how everybody? There's
Hey,
love.
Dog Doctor.
Cheers, Dog Doctor. How's it going?
Hey,
So
doing
good.
good. All right, I'll be quiet. Sorry.
I'm just kidding, Tao. Welcome in, buddy. How you doing?
How are you, buddy?
All right.
Good to see you. You're always welcome. And we had Brandon and Kyle with us earlier, in case you want to do a good shout out later for all the people that were on the show. But yeah, welcome back.
Unpin me.
Are you pinned? Pretty sure you're not pinned.
I have
Are
a
you
little
spotlighted?
pin. I have a pin.
Remove
beside my
spotlight.
name.
There we go.
There you
Ah.
go.
You were spotlighted. I could see. I had it on gallery in Zoom, but you were spotlighted. I needed to remove the spotlight. I'm gonna spotlight Dog Doctor though, because
Oh,
he's showing off his
yeah,
garden.
those are chunks.
Boom.
Look at Dog Doctor showing off his dongs.
Just my humble gelatos. Almost.
They're
I
getting
need to
close,
check.
huh?
Yeah, but they're still very.
Gotta dim that
Whitey.
light. Gelato hates light.
Dude, they are at 60% already.
Then I'd say let the top suffer a little bit, and then the bottom will be fine.
It's 60%. I can dim them down, but
Let's scroll down like 10 inches, and let's look at the shoulder buds. Are we getting any orange hairs down like a little bit lower?
everything it's pretty much the same. They're coming out, but the trichomes, they are all white and cloudy. There's no amber anywhere.
How hot is the room?
Right now, it's 24. I
So that's
even bring the
decent.
temperatures now. down for them to finish faster, and I'm doing 10 hours light, 14 sleep. I'm just letting them go. I'm giving just plain water. They keep on going. They keep growing, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think at the 10 hours,
Yeah.
it's going to start to finish up. They're starting to, the nug is developing. The pistils or stigmas, whatever you want to call the hairs, are still very white, which is my only kind of concern. But I think that they're starting to curve and going to get that orangish, amberish going here in a little bit.
I hope so. They cannot keep going forever. I mean,
Do you
I have
wash?
no hurries.
Do you ever wash bubble hash?
Yes, sometimes, but
This is
it's
the
too
type of
much work.
strain. This is the type of strain that'll wash really well if you're not happy with the bud structure or development. Those open, more airy structures tend to
I didn't
wash
even
pretty
clone
decent.
this. I was not happy with her. I did these clones because I didn't know if I was gonna like it or not. But for this one, I didn't even clone her. I didn't like so much the smoke. It's that weed that checks all the boxes, but I don't like the smoke.
What didn't you like
So,
about it?
it's sweet, but it's not the type of sweet that stays in the mouth and keeps the tongue sweet. And it's got some I don't know. It's really it's okay smoke if I don't have anything else to smoke. I smoke it. That's what happened to all of it actually. When the rest finished,
Wow.
that
It'll
went on,
do.
It'll
it's still
do.
it's
I'm glad
still
to
way
hear
better
that. I'm glad to
than
hear you didn't have
whatever
to
I
throw it
can buy.
away.
No, not at all. But it's still better than anything I can buy here. But it's just not a keeper.
What's your ideal? Like, you know,
I like sweets with a tiny little touch of hearty kind of. It's not moldy, but musk. I don't know how to say.
oh,
it in
musky,
English.
Earthy,
kind of like
musky.
a earth, yeah,
Like a
like
hearty
a
with
yeah.
with lime touches for the day, and for the night time, I like something a little bit more, not so sweet and not so more hearty style, and with a little bit of the lavender one. It's limonene, lino, which this brings me down and keeps me relaxed at nighttime. This is my type of weed, but I like everything. I grow every type so that I can taste everything.
Where have you found mostly, like, what's the most lavendery or linalool strain you've come across?
Okay. There's one that actually is called lavender.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That is pretty nice. I've grown a few years ago, and I like it. The Magnum one, it's an auto that I grew recently. She was amazing on that department. I got sick of it because I in the end I only had that to smoke, so I'm not growing it again.
Was
But
that was that Soma's lavender?
no, it's from this was a few years ago. I can't remember. I'm sorry, but it was not Sonos. It was an European one.
Basically, everyone
Yeah.
buys Somas and then recreates it, knocks it off for the most part.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's cool. But that's what I go, and then I like the honey taste on them. When they taste like when they stay with the honey taste on the mouth, I love that.
Yeah, when it translates from the nose, the bud, all the way into like the final flavor.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. When I smell it, I look at it, I smell it, and then I give a dry puff, and then I light it and I smoke, and I get all the same thing around it. That I love that. Like smelling and know what I'm expecting when smoking.
It sucks when you get the opposite. You get like a nice dry puff and you're like, oh, this tastes good. It smells good. And then you toke it and you can't taste shit. It just nothing comes through.
There's a lot of, but I think it's the way that you cure it after that mostly makes that. Because it happens to me genetics that I like it and it was good, and the parts that was not so well dried did that after. So maybe it was just that time, but I believe that sometimes when you don't do a good drying and curing, you fuck up all your work.
I tend to
with that.
agree. I do think that some genetics they'll carry through more to the mouth than other ones, just based on like how much terpenes are there or the profile of terpenes and other cannabinoids that are in there. Certain ones just carry. I think it's like sesquiterpenes tend to stick around longer. Like one of my mentors has a Thai bud from the 90s, and I can still smell the fucking pepper. It's like I don't know how long beta caryophyllene sticks around for, but this is decade old bud, and you could still smell like real strong spice. So
That's
certain
cool.
ones stick.
And these
That
are
one's
the
an-
ones. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I'm going to respotlight you so we can look at your plants again.
What is he saving that bud for? Why haven't you smoked it yet?
It was like seeded. It was some Thai bud, and it was in like a tin, like an Altoids tin. And he had a bunch of other seeds. He couldn't get them to germinate because they're so old. So he gave me some to try and germinate them. But I'm like, I need some space to try and grow some fucking landrace Thai.
Yeah.
Ain't growing that in a closet.
hear-
I learned
Speaking
from
of
my wood
Thailand,
ring.
do you hear that they announced that they are going to legalize cannabis in Thailand?
I did hear that. And I mean, Robert Bandula, I forget what he actually calls himself.
Captain 420.
Captain 420. He was over in one of those Asian countries that has recently legalized in some respects. Was it Vietnam or a different one?
Oh,
Might
he was
have
in
been Vietnam.
Thailand. I believe he was in Thailand.
Thailand.
Oh, okay. He was in Thailand. Cool. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's great to see internationally cannabis getting more acceptance. I think the U.S. really pushes a lot of it. We lead the
This-
way in a lot of things.
Well, this would make the first Asian country to have done it officially, I guess.
That's a huge
So,
deal.
That's a huge deal. Yeah. That'd
People are
be like,
getting killed over there in certain
it'd be like
countries.
Alabama fucking flipping and saying we're full wreck and we're having no restrictions like
That's about to happen
Oklahoma.
with Mississippi. Fucking, it's happening in the South. I think Mississippi is literally like about to overnight be like the next Oklahoma. It's like you never would have thought Oklahoma would be like this 5 years ago, 10 years
They'll
ago.
hang you in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
America led the way on the illegal capacity of cannabis too, pretty much. So the least
that's
we
the
do
thing.
is help everyone
Yeah.
get out of it.
Yeah, that's a
they had
perfect
all
example.
the countries sign that treaty, and now we're trying to, just
Now,
like
yeah.
everything else, we're trying to undo the treaty that we had everyone sign.
That's
Yeah.
true. What plant are we looking at over here, Dog Doctor? Sorry, well, I got you
Yeah,
spotlighted.
what strain is that? I was curious too.
This is the rents. This is the first time I'm running this genetic. That's actually it's the smallest plants I ever grew. I was gonna ask that. Do you guys ever grew rents?
Runts, like RUNTZ?
Yes, sir.
No, I haven't yet because
Growing white runs. We grow it at work.
Okay. Is she a stretcher? This one is not a stretcher for sure because damn.
She is a stretcher at our work.
Yeah, because she was supposed to be, but dude, look at the size of the she's
maybe she
Yeah.
wants a bigger pot. I don't know.
well,
Yeah, I don't know,
maybe,
maybe.
but 5-gallon pots. I cannot.
Oh,
put-
that's usually good enough.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
not
I
what
know.
maybe it's not what they say that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very
she looks
likely.
beautiful.
Runts is tightly held, so I don't know how everybody thinks they have it. It's like these genetics come out every year, right? And it's like somebody's prized possession, and they don't even give it to their best friends. But some European seed bank is going to claim to have it and be selling it as runts, not runts S1, not runts F1. They're selling it as runts, just runts.
No,
runts.
it's runs. Yeah, it's amnesias, and they sell it as runs. They don't sell it. Actually, they gave me for me to test it. But
Who's it from?
amnesia.
Amnesia. Okay, yeah. I'd be very, very surprised if they had a legitimate cut of runs. Just my own skepticism, but
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's like with the Bruce Banner 3. Dark Horse went through on his live video one time. He went through like 30, 35 different seed banks, and he was like, nope, 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 fuck them, nope, 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 nope. It was crazy. He's like, I know for a fact none of these are Bruce Banner number 3.
you're going to find more fake stuff than you'll find real stuff. The best way to
Yeah.
find the real stuff is to go to a modern breeder's Instagram, look at their profile, and it'll say like, this is at Neptune Seed Bank, JBC Seed Bank, and all these other seed banks. And you can go there, check what's in stock. You'll see that breeder's name. You click on it, you see all the varieties they have in stock. That's how I've always done it. It's never done me wrong. You can DM that breeder and be like, hey, if they don't have that list, which seed banks are you carried at? Or can I get it directly from you? guess what? If you go direct, like I went direct through CSI Humboldt, they'll give you a fuck ton of freebies in most cases. So, especially in CSI Humboldt's circumstance, I got tons and tons of freebies. But Dog Doctor, we're seeing some nuggage right now. What are we looking at right there?
This one is the Dosey Dos that was growing a few episodes back.
I
don't
love
know
this.
if-
Is it
Nice.
orangey? Is it kind of like an orangey flavor?
Yes, it's
Yeah, I
beautiful.
love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Looks like you could run that over and it wouldn't even be like your car would actually go over, like move over it. It
No,
would crush
they-
it.
They're
Be a speed bump.
They
Yeah.
came up here, okay. This is the chocolate. This is one of my favorites for now, chocolate skunk. It smells like pure lemons. Well, when you trim, it looks like you're in a lemon fields. It's so beautiful.
You just broke
But it's
Tao's
called
heart.
chocolate.
You
Yeah,
just
but
broke
it's called
Tao's heart.
chocolate. Yeah.
It's you like it
That's the
also?
problem.
He likes chocolate anything. So if it's named chocolate skunk and you don't get chocolate or skunk, he's pissed.
Yeah, I hate that. That's a problem in my eyes. Like,
That's my number
That's
one
why-
problem with breeders.
yeah, like even if I use chocolate something and I make something, let's say, and it doesn't taste like chocolate, I'll probably take the chocolate out the name, you know?
That's fair to me. I mean, if you
Yeah.
can't get it to express that name, then why perpetuate that name?
Right.
Doesn't make
That's
sense to me.
true. There's no chocolate taste on it actually at all.
Well, and
It's
that's not
just
your
the
fault.
name.
That's the breeder. I
Yeah.
mean, and it could just be maybe it didn't express that way in your environment. Maybe that's the redheaded phenotype or whatever.
But I really love the lemon smell in the taste and everything on this on that actually. This is the other one. This is Gorilla Glue number 4 crossed with blueberry from DJ Short. I think it's his name.
Okay.
This
Yeah,
this
I've
damn
had
nut.
people say they got chocolate flavor off the GG4, so maybe that's
Well, there's chocolate trip. You can go back and
I've got-
listen to the GG4 episode with Josie Wales where he talks about it, where the genetics came from.
I've
okay.
got this Chocolope crossed with Cantaloupe Haze from Cannabis Corey.
Yeah,
called the Lope.
Chocolope is chocolate Thai by Cantaloupe Haze, so that just must be an extra Cantaloupe Haze injection in there.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna start buying lemon strains and see if I'll probably have a better chance to find that chocolate.
That's funny.
I got the Caps Frozen Lemons. I got the candied lemons too from Skunk House.
Oh yeah, I saw you talking about that in the chat earlier when I was talking about the
Yep.
Donny Burger. His stuff's fire. I'm a huge fan of Skunk House genetics. But that being said, there's just only I'd say like a handful of breeders that actually give the description that you find in the packs. Unfortunately, a lot of people are putting stuff out there that you just don't find those flavors. It's like unfortunate. It's a big letdown
Yes,
when
they-
you grow for a few months and find not what you're looking for.
How do they do to get the genetics to sell when they don't have they buy the seeds, they grow, they get a cut they like, and then they claim the name? That's what these guys do.
So I
They
think
just
what
write-
if
they
I
just-
was a unscrupulous genetics producer and I saw runts is very popular right now, you read a description about runts, you look into the genetics background, you find whatever is the closest. So let's say it's like a gelato cross or something like that. Then you find whatever, if you can get gelato, you get the gelato and maybe you cross it to something. But even if you don't have any of that, you could just say, oh, well, I've got this strain that's fruity. You could even be less scrupulous than that. You could be like, I've just got these 2 plants and I can make seeds. I don't care if it's anything like runts at all. I'm just going to knock them together and sell these seeds and label it runts. And oh, guess what? Wedding cake is hot now. I got wedding cake seeds. Guess
Okay.
what? Now this new strain's hot. I got those seeds too. It's like, what do you want?
And that
I got 'em.
happens a lot. A lot.
Yep.
A lot.
Well, and then there's like big greenhouses. Somebody was mentioning the other day that like in Spain, they have like a greenhouse full of, seeds and they're just white labeling stuff to like sell to other companies to market and sell. So there's a lot of just marketing happening. It's they get seeds, cannabis strain A, and sell it as whatever they want to sell it as.
Let me tell you guys something. Somebody hit me up in the DMs and they're like, man, I have these plants. They're only like 45 days in flower and they're all getting amber and stuff. And I'm like, maybe it got too hot. Maybe, the light was too close. Something happened like that. I'm like, well, was it advertised as a fast finisher? And I guess he checked. He's like, yeah, it says it's a 45-day finisher. I'm like, well, first off, I'm pretty impressed that the the description matches the reality. And I think it was Humboldt Seed Company. I'll double check, but I was like, that's pretty good. That when he checked it, he said, yeah, they say it's a 45-day strain. And I'm like, well, that's probably why they're getting done now. But I'm pretty impressed that they held true to the description, which was pretty good. So hopefully more and more people are going to start being more truthful on the packs. And now, like with these newer cuts that people like, the mag takes, is it the mag that takes 10 weeks for sure? If you really want to go to the GMO, one of them.
GMO is like 77 days.
Yeah, as people get more accepting of the longer strains, perhaps people will be more realistic with the true finishing times. And a lot of times you can take it at 8 weeks, it'll be killer. But if you go to 10, it'd be killer. So
I'm with you on that.
I'm finding out a lot.
It's perfect. Yeah. This perfect pearl runs 45 days.
Does it actually? Seeds. Have you run it?
I haven't, but it's a silver pearl S1. Okay. It's been grown. It's been documented. So it's legit 45 days. 45 to 52. Cool.
Yeah.
I will just give the my Greenstock stamp of approval to Humboldt Seed Company, Nat Pennington, and his daughter Haley or Hallie. They're crushing it. They're fucking doing 1,000 plant hunts. The pineapple upside down cake is also like a below 50-day finisher. I think it's 47 days, if I'm remembering correctly. Super fast finisher, and it actually does finish that quickly. Great flavors, great potency. So cheers to them, and cheers to Crack Babies DWC, who jumped in a little while ago, and we haven't given an opportunity to say hello. So cheers, Crack Baby.
Hey, cheers, guys. How's it going?
Doing well. How you doing,
buddy?
Nice to see y'all.
What's up, Crack Babies?
Good to hear you, Crack Babies.
Cheers.
Is that your New Year's Grow Challenge plants on the left over there?
Yeah, exactly. I got the bigger ones I started before there, but the rest are clones for that challenge. So it's coming along there. I got the Master Kush and the 5x2 there, the bigger ones, well, the bigger smaller ones, and the little clone ones are the Hindu Kush or the Hindu root beer. Sorry, from Kyle, which is the big one you see in the dark there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's the one in the foreground is the Hindu root beer, and the one in the background is a Watermelon Gelato X Mac V2 from OCG there at CFC.
These all DWC buckets?
Yeah.
Nice.
2 gallon on the small ones and 5 gallon on the bigger ones.
I like it. Nice.
I feel like you're one of the few handful of DWC growers over at Cocoa for Cannabis in the New Year's Grow Challenge.
Yeah, we're not too many there in that category. Water there, or I think we're 12 or something like that. 12, 15.
Not too many peat growers there. It's mostly cocoa. Obviously.
Yeah, there's like 40, 50 cocoa ones there. It's like, yeah, a lot of people in cocoa.
I've been taking pictures. I haven't uploaded anything yet. So I've just got little plants, and I will update. My one plant that I thought was a tomato plant actually ended up being a Velvet Punch F2. It was just really fucked up looking leaves. So
oh, nice.
It's a super run. I got 1 out of 10. It really must have been a pack that I fucking left out in the heat or something, because normally I've had 100% germination every time with that. So it was rare. The F3s got 100% germination though, and I'm sending out my sex tests tomorrow to Farmer Freeman. So cheers to him. They're still in their solo cup, so I'll know who needs to get chopped down or fed to my kittens here pretty soon. So
good luck.
I just need 2 females. So I've got 11 living plants, and I just need 2 ladies. So the best 2 will go on.
Nice. Right on. Yeah, I got to run some Amy Aces soon there, so I'll be doing some. I'll be doing the clone thing there, where I'll flip them, like take some clones, flip them, and sex them that way. To me, that's the only other option potentially to do that.
That's the way I like doing it.
Growing them all out there, it's not worth it.
Right.
Especially DWC. It's a little extra elbow grease.
Are you getting any smells off of that root beer that you've got? It looks like it's in the dark right now.
It's I try to rub the stem, but they're all kind of the same there when they're growing, right? It might start there. It might start to get some smells there. Start to get trike shots.
I will respectfully disagree, because my strawberry daiquiri smelled like strawberry and late veg and an early flower. It was like, holy fucking shit, that's it. Like, and some of them do, but I agree most of the time it's kind of smell like herbal or like vegetable in the early stages of stretch for me, at least.
Yeah.
Which
the stem. It's always skunky kind of. Hindu root beer from Kyle or Pure Breeding.
So it's a Hindu Kush cross to Mean Gene's root beer GMO, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm interested to get the terps on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm interested to see what that or hear what that's like.
Yeah, I've got a couple different crosses of the root beer stuff. I've got the burgers and beers and something from Dutch Blooms, the mean mug crossed with the bicket.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
It must have
bicket
like a
sounds
licorice
fire.
kind of taste to it too, right? Like root beer is
I-
kind of licoricey a bit.
sassafras
Sassafras, yeah.
is
Well, the
what
root beer is
Mean
named
Gene
after its
describes it
color.
as.
Oh, okay.
I've pulled this
It's
up in the
not the
past.
flavor really.
No, it's
Yeah.
not named for the flavor. It does on occasion. Some of the notes are like soda-y, but most of the flavors that are described. I'll pull up Mean Gene's post while.
But
you
not
guys
soda
chat.
like we think of it, like an old style soda, like a herb soda or something like that. It's like
Yeah. Nice.
I'll pull it up. But I
Well,
remember it
root
was.
beer used to be quite herbal, you know.
yeah, well,
Traditional
it was
root
made
beer.
with sassafras. That's
And
Literally,
The
wintergreen.
real
root.
one, yeah. Not the A&W there, but
Well, it's that wintergreen stuff. I tried making root beer the old style way before, and it was partly successful. But that wintergreen was really difficult to get a hold of. That was like good quality, anyways.
interesting. And then the other one, well, it's Master Kush. That's good old Kush there. So that I know what it tastes like. Should be good.
The
And
Kush is
then
one of my
the
favorites.
watermelon gelato Mac V2 that I'm really interested in because I tried the Mac V1, from a dispo not too far from here, and it was really good. And that's from the dispensary, so I can imagine me growing it, it's gonna be a lot better, right? And it's a V2 with and watermelon gelato, so that's all interesting flavors are.
Yeah,
Looking forward
like
to
a
it.
really sweet Mac. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
the Mac. I personally don't care for the Mac or its crosses that I've had yet. I keep getting this what I describe as a urinal cake smell, flavor wise, like the way a urinal cake smells in the bathroom.
Yeah, well, that's kind of
Dude, some of those new urinal cakes smell fucking amazing. I don't,
That's a
I don't know if you've
skunky
seen the new ones.
direction, right? It's
Yeah,
like cat piss or kind of thing there.
Yeah, but and
You're talking
I
about the
guess it
old school urinal cake though, right? Like it smells like
Like-
piss and like a
I
little
know
bit
what
of
you mean.
deodorant.
Like
I used
mothball.
one.
like in the urinals, when
I
you're taking
used
a
one,
piss and
yeah.
you're
feel
spraying
like
the
that's,
urinal and you get that.
You're walking
smell.
into a men's room, you get that smell. It
Yeah.
hits you in the nose. It's
So
like it's
apparently-
piss with deodorant mixed.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's like a
I don't know.
I believe it's an ester that gases off, and you know how some people
So-
get that from cilantro. It tastes like soap.
So I
So
agree
sort
with
of
you.
like a
I think it
like a
gets that when
detergent.
when it's old, like if you've let it cured for like 4 months or something, it gets that smell. It gets that almost piss smell for sure.
Closet smell, old lady closet smell.
Damn.
Yeah,
But
well-
that's usually only when it gets old, man. Like
So smoke it quick.
if you get it within the first 2-3 months, I think it's fucking some of the best weed I smoked.
So the only Mac I've had is from Blue, and I mean I know it's not old.
Mine was a
Like,
Nethos, so I guess it was a good variety there that they grew.
I'm just it's comparable to the cilantro soap thing, Like
Yeah.
how-
Yeah, for sure.
So I got the Mean Gene post up. I can't zoom it in any further, so I'm just going to read it. It says, taste, unburned root beer has a mild, fruity flavor with hints of kush, sassafras, and cola soda. When burned, root beer is rich, smooth flavor with hints of roots tonic, chocolate, coffee, vanilla, cola, sassafras, and root beer without the wintergreen. All in subtle amounts with dominant flavor being thick, hashy, and earthy.
Oh yeah, winner. That rings all the bells on my list, anyways. Yeah,
It's gotta be good for extractions.
I cloned it. I'm gonna keep
I'm-
her alive.
I'm curious how Mean Gene's gear does indoors. I know that it's all open pollinated outdoors, right?
It's stretchy. It's got big node spacing. Well, you can see it
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
Compared to the one
Yeah.
in the back, the one in the back is the Mac V2, and it's pretty tight. It's like a GG4-ish kind of. But
Yeah.
the other one there in the front, that one's got big spacing. So that means there's lots of room for that big nug there. I
I
like
just
that.
also wanted to read real quick. It says the leaves often change near harvest time to take the color similar to actual root beer with some added purple and
Right.
some nearly black when grown indoors. Outdoors, they tend to stay greener. Buds grow neatly spaced along narrow bud branches, which I'm kind of seeing a little bit on the structure of your plant over there. But yeah, I just am always reminded that the root beer is more, I guess, originally named after the color of the leaves than the actual flavor. But it's like also describing a root beer that probably many of us are thinking of a different kind of root beer, like the A&W root beer, but he's describing like a root beer without wintergreen. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to make that distinction so people aren't like looking for A&W when they're hunting through
Yeah.
root beer
The
phenols, I
sweet,
guess.
sugary one there. Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm
Do
going to
that.
jet out of here. There's
Oh man,
awesome.
it's already 5:45.
Yeah, it was awesome hanging with
Welcome,
y'all.
Tim.
I'm gonna get ready to
Please
take these
leave.
dogs outside, and then you can catch me on the Michigan Bros Grow Show here in about 15 minutes. We got who was it? Rob from Cannabis Lifestyle TV. So we got a special guest. So check
And
us
you're
out.
gonna have
guys.
you're gonna have Blue on, right? You guys are gonna have Blue on.
That's I think he's the following week. Yep.
Awesome.
So yep, we're gonna have Blue on the following week for sure. Yeah, avocado tech. So for sure, we'll be talking to Blue. I believe it's. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he's the following week. But he might. I'm not sure. We have to figure out with his schedule and everything.
Peace
Cheers,
out,
Fred.
Spartan.
All right.
Have a great one.
What's up,
Thanks, man.
everybody?
MCMA.
Fuck
Fuck the
MCMA.
MCMA for sure.
7:15.
Thank you so much,
Take
Spartan
care,
Grown. You
bud.
can find him at Spartan Grown. You can email him at spartangrown at gmail.com. And you can also find his commercial work at Mitten Canico. They're doing some killer stuff over there. It's fun to follow because sometimes you see like behind the scenes and it happens to be Spartan and you see all the comments. Everyone's like, Spartan. Yeah, like everybody fucking loves Spartan. So for good reason. He's a great dude. Comes
He's
on all the
a great
shows,
dude.
very generous with his time and knowledge. So I'm a big fan
And
of
he
him
also-
myself.
I missed him Saturday morning. He was missing from the Wake and Bake. I stopped my Saturday cartoons to watch the Wake and Bake, and he was MIA.
I don't know if he's a regular on the Wake and Bake or not, but I know he does join sometimes. But he's just like he's a marathon man for cannabis shows, which I respect.
He responds all the mails or whatever you mail him. He's back to you in less than 24 hours, even if he doesn't know it. First time I wrote to him, less than 24 hours, he was answering me and talking to me. It's amazing guy. Respect.
Dedicated.
He's a great member of this community, no doubt, and very selfless with his time. Helps many people, whether it's the first message or he's been buddies with you for years. He's helped me out many times. So I have a lot of respect for Spartan and appreciate that he makes the time for us each week for an hour and 45 minutes to come on and kick it and, you know, share some of his knowledge and just chill a lot of the time. We have such a large panel sometimes that people don't get as much time to talk, but this week we had a smaller panel. So I'm glad he got to kick it and share some information this week. So it's always good to, whether it's a small panel or a big panel, I always appreciate everybody's input. Like Tao slipping in last second. I saw him in the chat before I saw him on the panel, which is a rarity.
And I got to say, do not blame cannabis for your shortcomings, whether it's tardiness or laziness. That's on you, not on cannabis. So
I agree.
I
I
hate when people use that. However, if you're healthy and doing some great things, you can blame the cannabis because it definitely
Absolutely.
aids in all the good things, and it's your demise if it's on bad things. So I want to
Now,
point
see,
that.
Tao, what you were supposed to do was say, I don't know what you're talking about, Jack. I kept going into the waiting room and sitting and waiting, and finally I went into the chat so I could
So
get your
you'd see
attention.
me. There you go. I gotta pay attention to your teachings more. Apparently, good work.
See, it's that cannabis keeping him from doing the thing that you just suggested, Chitterbug. Dang it!
There you
Again.
go.
or
It's
say
a circle. It's a circle.
It's a vicious cycle for sure.
whenever I forget something, I just say, man, I was too sober. I wasn't medicated enough on my cannabis. So that's why I forgot. But yeah, don't blame
my
the cannabis. I'm
my
with you there,
cat
Tom.
wants in. I'll be right back there. Give me.
No worries.
I'm an
Yeah.
80s kid, so I can blame it on ADHD.
That's it. Yeah.
Thinking of that song, blame it on the alcohol. But I don't ever drink alcohol, so I can't do that.
Change it to the AHD.
That'll work.
Any of you guys grow with autopots? I just got 4 of them to try. and I'm
Oh, you
pretty
you
curious.
just missed your opportunity. Spartan was the guy you should have asked because he's
Oh.
actually grown with autopots. Maybe next
Oh.
week, or maybe in
It's
the
okay.
DMs.
There's time still.
I have information about them though, and I will say, if you're using like a hydroponic nutrient, that they tend to not work as well as if you're using like organics, because the hydroponics, the way that they wick and dry, it builds a lot of EC up top.
Okay.
So you'd want to go in and hand water from the top to either get rid of that EC buildup or go with a more water only type soil so that you can do just that and let the
I was gonna
autopot
go
fill with
with
water
the
on them.
pallets. I was gonna go with the pallets and
That
keep
should
it the same line as I was doing with this ones. It's fully organic and mineral. That
Yeah.
was the idea.
I think that would work, to be
I
honest.
just like the idea of they being able to drink whenever they want, not whenever you time it. So I like that. If this works, it takes a lot of work out of one's hands so that you can take care of other things.
I'm a huge advocate. I'm all sip now. Even my veg, I put pumice down underneath my solo cups and I can bottom water. And anything that goes through with the runoff, they can suck back up, or I could vacuum out if it's too full and I'm worried about like root rot or anything. But you can even make the bottom of your pots in the auto pots have like a little bit of pumice stone or perlite or whatever that volcanic stuff that we're seeing
Or how
on
about
top of.
the little balls?
Yeah,
The brown ones.
I can't think of the name. Crack Baby's DWC would know, but I think he's letting his cat out, in or out. What's the
Back.
name of that stuff?
Which
Those
one?
clay balls, the pellets.
Cocoa Puffs.
Oh,
What is
the
it
Hydroton.
clay
brown balls.
hydroton.
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 That's it.
Hydrogen.
That's actually good stuff. My buddy uses that in his super soil for aeration, and it works just fine. It's got plenty of it's like a pumice in the fact that it can hold microbes and it provides aeration, and there's like micro spots in there.
It's
Yeah, it's
relatively
extra
heavy,
porous,
isn't it?
yeah.
Too, yeah.
So what I do in my living beds is I fill the bottom like 4 inches or so, 5 inches with those hydrogen pellets, and then I build my soil over that. So both
Oh,
of these
nice.
beds have about 4 or 5 inches of hydrogen at the bottom.
That's
It
smart.
keeps
Just
the
so you
bottom
never
of the
have
water clean,
feet.
basically. It's like filtering a bit, right?
You basically have a sip bed in that style, because if there's any water that gets built up down there, they have access to it.
Yeah,
So,
Like
it holds
like
it.
your water's not all full of dirt when it comes out the bottom, right? It's mostly caught in hydrogen, like it doesn't get through.
Yeah,
No,
Just the
water
water.
doesn't even come out the bottom, right? No.
not
No.
this, unless
No
something goes
runoff.
wrong.
Right.
Oh,
Depends on
okay,
the
yeah.
pots.
So it's just kind of like the reservoir for the excess or whatever, and it's
Yeah, and
aired out. So
if I
that's
have a
good.
if I have a runaway, most of it's for aeration and compaction, so that as the soil, it has a little sponge on it.
I have to
Oh, yeah,
laugh because the chat was screaming hydroton, hydroton, hydroton.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I didn't look over. I actually remembered it, but they were all like thanks, Jack. Like finally, but it was funny. I should have always
I'm
trusted
trying to
chat.
phase it out myself there, just because it doesn't give, right? The roots, I put them in my little net pots and they don't give, so the roots are forced to kind of grow around them, and I figure that's like an impairment. So I want to remove them. I want to try to use collars and foam. You know what I mean? So it's a little more
What about like
flexible.
a finer pumice? Like I use pumice, and you can get it ground up depending on whatever size you want, and it's
As long as
inert.
it doesn't fall through the net pot holes, right?
Yeah, I guess it would just depend on what size net pots you use, but I think foam would also work. I see people use even just like the clone collars they use for clone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of using there. Just putting, because I got to start a seed in a rapid rooter, but I can put the collar on as soon as there's enough room there between the rapid rooter and the coddies, right? And if I put the lights real low, we'll potentially show climb a bit, right? And get a little taller and give me more room.
I don't see why not. I mean, it's I'm always a advocate of at least like trying a test plant of it. So do your old method that you know is tried and true, and then do
Yeah.
at least one test plant with the new method and see if it works out for you. And if it does, then you can gradually transition over.
Yeah, exactly. Because it works for clones, right? So why not? It's a lot
That's a good point.
cleaner.
With that being said, it is the 5:55 hour out here. I just looked up that angel number
Yep.
555. Always good to see. I'll pass it first to our guest panelists and go in the order that they showed up. First, Cheddar Bob. Thank you for joining us and showing off the garden. Where can the people find you?
You can find me at CheddarBob13. That's CheddarBob with 2 T's. 2 T's. on Instagram, Cannabis. Where else am I on? I'm on YouTube. So yeah, that's me. Thank you for having me on, Jack. It's always a pleasure. Crack Babies, great to see you. Dog Doctor, Tao, Matthew. I love you, man.
You
Cheers,
should.
brother.
Those getting rid of those mealy bugs. Your garden's looking a lot better. So I'm happy
Yeah.
that you guys
Oh.
figured out a solution.
Glad to
And
hear
before
it.
I jump out, Matthew has a Patreon that everyone should go join because he gives us tons of free information, and his Patreon has even more information on pests and everything that goes with that. So costs less than your coffee. So yeah, there we
Then
go.
1 cup. It's like a fifth of a cup out here in California, maybe a seventh.
Right, right.
I know, right?
just the sugar you have to pay for.
Exactly.
I think you have
Yeah,
to pay
yeah.
to walk in to some of these fancier ones, unless you look real fancy.
What are those?
Very Bastiana.
No, I can't think of the word. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here.
Boba.
Thank you. Yeah, boba. have a
Peace out,
have a
Bob.
great night.
Next up, we got the Dog Doctor. Thank you again for joining us and showing off the garden.
No, thank you guys for having me. It's always a pleasure and an honor. I feel really humble. I'm Dog Doctor. You can find me in Instagram as Dog Doctor Official, and on the Grow Journals or Grow Diaries, pardon, as a Dog Doctor. You can text me, mail me, anything. I'll be at disposal for anything. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Matthew, the American one, all you guys. It's really a pleasure. Keep on grooving.
Absolutely, and it was a pleasure having you. And next up, we got Crack Babies DWC.
Hey, so yeah, it's Crack Babies DWC on YouTube and on IG, and Crack Babies at CFC or Coco for Cannabis. And a little shameless plug there. I'll be fucking talking shit with Eagle this Friday, 11:30. So if you can come check it out, that'd be really cool. And yeah, so grow love, everyone. And thanks again for having me, Jack. Have a great night, guys.
Happy to have you, and I'll definitely be there to check that out live and throw some love in the chat on Fucking Talking Shit with Eagle. Great dude. Tons of amazing interviews done over there, and lots of people in the cannabis community have come out and joined the online cannabis community because of him. Sort of like how this show was for a lot of people in the origin. I'm happy that he's doing that for a lot of other people, and we're continuing kind of the trend of doing it tonight. But with that said, getting back to the regular panelists who've been here for a while, we've got the American one, even though he was late. Pesty first.
Jack, my apologies for the tardiness to everyone. And it was good to get here in time anyway and see Dog Doctor and Cheddar Bob and Spartan before he left, and Matthew and you. And I missed Brandon and Kyle, but yeah, peace to everyone, and have a great week. I'm the American One on the YouTube, and the American One _ Keens on the IG. If you search the American One, the little guy with the American top hat is me. And yeah, I'm glad I made it at least.
Always happy to have you, and I was just busting your chops for being late. Even if you just showed up for 15 minutes, it's always great to have you, and it's just a pleasure to have an amazing panel that wants to be here and talk cannabis and share all this great information. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it last and certainly not least to Matthew Gates.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate what Cheddar Bob had said. You know, for those to follow me, I will just add on that my Patreon is not there to accrue like a ton of money or anything like this, but for $1 a month, if you are interested in pest information, we have a wonderful community, and also it's just getting a little bit difficult to get to all the wonderful messages that people have. So if you are interested in getting a response to something that is near and dear to your heart, joining that Patreon and getting access to my Discord might actually be the best way to do it, because otherwise I might not actually get to your message. Lately, that's become more and more of a reality for me, which is, again, kind of surreal, but also I'm glad that this information is becoming even more desirable to people because it's so important. You can find some of my content for free, for that matter, at Zenthanol.com, as well as on my YouTube channel, Zenthanol, and on my Instagram, which is at SyncAngel, SYNCHANGEL. And you can also check me out on the Future Cannabis Project this Tuesday at 3 p.m. PST, where I will be going over a deep dive of rice fruit aphid treatment and physiology and just everything you need to know about rice fruit aphids to have a successful plan for getting rid of them and preventing them, for that matter.
Well, thank you again for joining us. And I do encourage people to support Matthew on Patreon. And I just want to let people know they can find me, as you can see on my little logo right here, at Jack Greenstock. On Instagram, I'm Jack_Greenstock on Twitter, and you can email me jackgreenstock47@gmail.com. If you want a copy of the book, 50 Strains Green, at 50strains.com. And I don't want to keep you too long. It is 6 o'clock. So go check out the Michigan Bros Grow Show. Support them. And if you want to, leave a like on the show. If not, leave us a dislike. I really don't care. Thank you all for coming. Happy to see everybody. It was great to have you all. I love this show. I love hanging out with the boys and ladies when they show up. And really appreciate all the live chatters and listeners, but also appreciate the podcast listeners out there. They have a lot more recurring listening. Like it says, the people who listen on YouTube listen for about 30 minutes. The podcast listeners, hour and 55 minutes. So they're like all the way through end to end. So cheers to everybody though. We appreciate you, whether you're here 30 minutes or the whole time. And with that said, Jack Greenstock signing out. Growers love for everybody who made it and who didn't. We'll see you all next week.
Peace out,
Love
everyone.
everybody. Thank you.